All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Look, if you've been living in Mexico and dreaming of putting down deeper, indefinite roots, the idea of upgrading your temporary resident visa to a permanent one can honestly feel a little overwhelming. But today, we're going to break down the official documentation step by step so we can see exactly how this transition actually works. Right off the bat, we're looking at this really interesting phrasing straight from the legal text. I love this because it's a great reminder that the Mexican immigration system isn't just some rigid set of rules. It actively recognizes that your immigration status should adapt to your life plan in Mexico. Basically, as your life evolves, your legal standing can evolve right along with it. To get us there, here is our roadmap. 1. Your status is not static. 2. 3 pathways to permanency. 3. General requirements and documents. 4. Procedure costs. And finally, 5. Process and resolution times. Starting off with Section 1, your status is not static, adapting to your life plan. So, the Mexican migration law actually lays out 7 distinct formulas for modifying your status. As you can see, they cover everything from family ties to humanitarian reasons and even student visa adjustments. But for our purposes today, we are zeroing in entirely on that very first one, transitioning from a temporary to a permanent resident. Moving right along to Section 2, 3 pathways to permanency, or the 3 pathways. Because this transition definitely isn't a one-size-fits-all deal, identifying exactly which legal pathway applies to you is absolutely critical. Basically, you've got 3 scenarios. Scenario 1 is pretty straightforward. You've hit 4 continuous years as a temporary resident. Scenario 2 is for retirees or pensioners receiving foreign income. And then Scenario 3 is for folks qualifying through a very specific point system. Now, if you happen to fall into that second pathway, the retirees, the law actually gives you 2 different ways to prove your financial standing. You can either show bank statements for the last 12 months with an average balance of 25,000 UMA, which is Mexico's standardized economic unit, or you can show a steady 6-month pension income equivalent to 500 UMA per month. It's really nice because it gives you the flexibility to prove your stability in whatever way best fits your personal portfolio. All right, Section 3, General Requirements and Documents, gathering your dossier. Once you've nailed down your pathway, it is time to build your case. And the absolutely crucial part here is having exactly the right paperwork ready before you apply, whether you do that online or in person at the National Migration Institute. No matter which of the 3 pathways you're taking, everyone needs these core foundational documents. We're talking the official online form, your original passport or official ID, your unexpired temporary resident card, proof that you paid the fees, and of course, whatever specific documents prove your chosen pathway. To give you an idea of what this looks like in the real world, the official ficha del trámite is essentially your legal backing. It spells out the exact legal foundations, like Articles 52 and 54 of the migration law, that actually protect your right to make this transition. Having every single document perfectly aligned with this official sheet, that is literally the secret to a smooth, headache-free process. Which brings us to Section 4, Procedure Costs, breaking down the fees. Because, bureaucracy always comes with a price tag. According to Article 9 of the Federal Rates Law, the very first fee you're going to encounter is $1,631.89 Mexican pesos. Just to be totally clear, this upfront fee strictly covers the reception and the formal study of your application. You're basically paying this just to have the immigration officers open your file and take a look at it. Then, if your application gets the green light, Article 8 of that same law dictates a second payment. You'll need to drop $6,225.67 pesos for the actual physical issuance of your brand new permanent resident card. It is super smart to budget for both of these steps way in advance, so you aren't caught off guard when that approval finally comes through. Let's move on to our final section, Section 5, Process and Resolution Times, the waiting game. So you've submitted your perfect dossier and paid that initial fee. Now what? Well, the authorities actually operate on surprisingly strict legal deadlines. Once you hit submit on day 1, if there happens to be a mistake or a missing document, the Institute will let you know, and you get exactly 10 working days to fix it. If your file is absolutely perfect, the government has a maximum of 20 working days to hand down a final resolution. You aren't just tossing your paperwork into a black hole. There's an actual, legally mandated clock ticking on their end. And ultimately, that clock stops in one of 2 ways. A positive resolution, that means you provide some final data, pay your second fee, and boom, you get your card granting you an indefinite stay in Mexico, which, by the way, completely includes the right to work. But a negative resolution is pretty serious. If you get rejected, they'll hand back your original temporary card if it's still valid. If it's expired, though, you have a very strict 20 to 30-day window to leave the country, find another legal way to regularize your status, or file an appeal. It really highlights exactly why getting that dossier right the first time around is so incredibly vital. Now, let's say you get that positive resolution. You celebrate, you've got your permanent card in hand, awesome. But just remember, securing your permanent residency isn't the absolute end of the road. To keep your new status in good standing, you are legally obligated to report any major life changes to the Migration Institute. I mean, if you get married or divorced, change your nationality, move to a new house, or even change where you work, you have to let them know. Failing to do so can actually result in sanctions under Article 158 of the Migration Law. So, we've mapped out the pathways, the costs, and the timelines. Securing your future in Mexico really isn't just about waiting around. It is all about preparation. Looking at these requirements, what is the very first step you're going to take today? Are your documents totally ready to withstand the scrutiny of the Migration Institute? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and hey, it is time to start building that dossier.